Good morning, Georgiana. Welcome to part 2 of our special Christmas Advent edition of Take 5. If you remember last week, we talked about how Caesar Augustus had required a census to be taken that required all the citizens of his kingdom to go to their town of birth and to register. And so that's kind of where we picked the story up today, that Joseph and Mary are heading from Nazareth to Bethlehem. So let's go ahead and read that text. Chapter 2, beginning somewhere about verse 4. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth to Galilee to Judea to Bethlehem, to the town of David, because he belonged to the house and the line of David. Now pause right there. It's about 85, 90 miles from Nazareth to Bethlehem. This is a long walk. I mean, it's going to be happening all by foot, maybe a little bit of donkey travel. Joseph's not a rich man. It's not going to happen in a carriage. Certainly no train, no plane, no any of that kind of stuff. So, and he said he went to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in cloths and placed him in a manger because there was no guest room available for them. All right, so here's what I want to talk about today. It seems like throughout history, the innkeeper, who is not even named in the story, gets a horrible rap for having not made room for this pregnant woman and her husband who's traveled so far. I can just picture the two of them standing there with the innkeeper and how that conversation is going with Mary saying, I told you we should have left earlier. Look how crowded it is. And, I knew we were going to be late. And Joseph going, well, if you didn't have to stop so many times to go to the bathroom, we'd have made it. And all that kind of that couple thing that's happening. Right. So the problem for me with this story is that throughout time and history, we've painted the innkeeper as this cold, callous. If you've seen any animated versions of this story, you encounter the innkeeper as somebody who is not warm and fuzzy, not caring. But part of what we miss in the story is that he didn't just turn them away. He found a place for them. He extended himself. Now, part of what you need to know about Bethlehem in the day is that it was a tiny, tiny little community. Wouldn't even call it a bedroom community to Jerusalem. It's about 10, 12 miles from Jerusalem. Jerusalem in that day wasn't huge in of itself. It was more of a regional outpost than anything else. So we're not talking about a big place. We're not talking about, 20 or 30 choices for places to stay. My guess is the innkeeper already had an extra full house. And the truth of the story is that he could have easily just turned them away. But he found a manger for them. He found a place for them. And here's what I think we want to take away from this story, is that God always finds a place for us. We are never left outside the plan of God's providence, ever. And so God provides a way. So I don't know how long it took them to get from Nazareth to Bethlehem. I don't know if they bickered and argued all the way as couples do. All I know is once they arrived and it looked like disappointment was in front of them, God provided a way through this innkeeper. So as we retell this story, I want us to tell it from the lens of understanding that God makes a way where there appears to be no way. Can you imagine the frustration that must have been on Joseph and Mary's hearts as they stood there thinking, what do we do now? This baby's going to be born any minute. And the innkeeper steps in. I think during Christmas, God has called us to step in. This is what our simple Christmas offerings are about, is us stepping into ministries and providing a way where there appears to be no way in that moment. So this is our takeaway this morning. So I want to just ask that you keep this in mind as we move about, as you pray about your simple Christmas offering, as you look for places where you can step in, where God has placed somebody in your life that is frustrated and disappointed, but you might be the answer to their prayers. So be thinking about that this week. By now, you've heard it announced that we're going to have Christmas Eve on our campus for the first time, I think, in 12 years. We wanted to have a little bit more of an intimate feel based on the number of people that we've had coming to live worship. So just know that we love you. We hope that you have a blessed week, and part 3 is coming next week.